At my mother's remarriage reception, I ran into my ex-boyfriend, who is now my stepbrother. 3 years ago, I dumped him and disappeared without a trace. But now, he looked at me calmly and said, "Hello there, little sister." First, he exposed the identity of my fake boyfriend. Then, he tracked down my apartment and cornered me at my front door. I said, "We are brother and sister." He replied, "Just this once. Can we be siblings tomorrow?" My mother's marriage to the head of the Richards family was the latest gossip in our social circle. My future stepfather had a son, and today's family dinner was our official meeting. "Hello, it's nice to meet you. I'm Finnegan," he trailed off mid-introduction. Neither of us had expected to see each other again after 2 years, and certainly not in this situation. My mother's gaze darted between me and Finnegan. "Honey, say hello to your brother." I forced a stiff smile. "Hello, brother. It's a pleasure to meet you. Please take care of me." It was as if the person who had tricked him into bed 3 years ago, broken up with him, and vanished without a word was someone else entirely. After 3 years, Finnegan looked much the same. He wore a crisp white shirt, his fine dark hair falling over his forehead, and a pair of thin-rimmed black glasses perched on his nose, enhancing his delicate features and gentle demeanor. He frowned but ultimately chose not to expose me. The atmosphere at dinner was subtly charged. But my and Finnegan's stiff silence perfectly fit the mood of step-siblings meeting for the first time. I kept my head down, trying to minimize my presence. Suddenly, Richard called my name. "I heard your new job is nearby and you're looking for a place to stay? Your brother lives across the street on the top floor of Skyview Tower. His spare room is empty. You can stay there for now." "Absolutely not." "She can." Finnegan and I spoke simultaneously. I refused, he agreed. I shot him a silent question. He looked back calmly, seemingly waiting to see how I would manage to maintain the lie of "it's nice to meet you." I couldn't help but remember our true first meeting. At a college party hosted by a friend, he was a student from the business school next door. I leaned in with an ambiguous posture, but he looked aloof. I felt rejected and turned to leave, but he grabbed my arm. "Don't you want my number? You've been watching me for a long time." Intrigued, I shouted into his ear over the loud music, "You're so handsome." "No girlfriend?" My hair brushed his cheek. His beautiful fingers lifted a lock of it, as if savoring the feel. "Perhaps that's exactly what you were hoping for." Back in the present, Finnegan's eyes were deep. "I haven't offended you before, have I? Why the resistance to living together, sister?" I knew Finnegan was doing this on purpose. When I first tricked him into bed, I had promised him we would move in together once our relationship was stable. By bringing up the old subject, he was seeking revenge and demanding an explanation. I simply hardened my heart. "No need. I can move in with my boyfriend." "You have a boyfriend?" My mother sounded surprised. I irritably said he would be picking me up soon. Across the table, Finnegan stared intently at me, his gaze hostile. My boyfriend was my friend, Julian Stone, in disguise. Julian arrived, impeccably dressed and composed. My mother smiled radiantly, introducing his background as a successful law firm owner. Finnegan's face grew darker and darker. I grabbed Julian, trying to leave, but Finnegan said he needed a ride. "It's not on the way." I immediately refused. My mother's tone carried a hint of warning. "Victoria, watch your manners." Hearing the word brother, Julian smiled genuinely. "So you're her brother. Where are you headed?" "I'll drop you off." Finnegan ignored Julian's outstretched hand and walked straight out the door. Julian raised an eyebrow at me. I couldn't explain and dragged him to follow. Outside, Finnegan scrutinized Julian's luxury car. "Nice car." Julian maintained his composure. "Lucky break. Earned it with the firm." Finnegan's voice was cool. "I hear that truly successful lawyers usually have limited ethics." Julian narrowed his eyes. "Generalization is a bit extreme, isn't it?" Finnegan ignored him and turned to me. "You've forgotten how to open the door yourself? Is your boyfriend fake?" "That's enough." I stopped the charade, hailed a taxi for Finnegan, said goodbye to Julian, and went back to the empty apartment my best friend had lent me. I didn't expect Finnegan to show up and corner me at my door. "You followed me?" I was both nervous and angry. "You live here alone? Where's the boyfriend?" Finnegan peered into the room. Do you know this is illegal? Finnegan, if you don't leave, I'm calling the police. Seeing my anger, his tone softened. I didn't follow you. Your mother gave me the address. She asked me to help you move. His voice dropped, carrying a tremor I could barely detect. I looked for you for a long time after the day you left me. I kept thinking what I did wrong. Was I too eager? Too boring? Or was it that night? I cut him off. It was a long time ago. Stop thinking about it. I want a reason. His eyes were reddening. My heart softened slightly, but I bit out the lie, no reason. I just stopped liking you. His reasoning became increasingly absurd. Stop liking me? Was it because you weren't satisfied with my performance in bed? What if I learned more? He was insane. I made to close the door, but he pushed against the frame and forced his way inside with sheer strength. I threatened to call the police, but before I could finish the sentence, he pulled a black velvet blindfold from nowhere, knelt on both knees, and handed me a necktie. Finnegan knelt there, his back straight but rigid, showing the awkwardness of an honest man driven to desperation. The light cast a sheen on his skin, making the blindfold look intensely dark. He looked up, his Adam's apple subtly bobbing, betraying his nervousness. I don't have any particular kinks, but at this moment, I desperately wanted to take advantage of him, to see him wince in pain, his eyes red with desire. Damn it, I was genuinely aroused. I struggled to remain composed, deploying my final shield. Brother, stop this nonsense. His whole body shook. The term brother shattered his last hope. After a moment of struggle, he whispered, I'm not your brother. I untied the blindfold, meeting his reddened eyes. This isn't fair. I shouldn't be your brother. We shouldn't have met again either. But I would have found you, his eyes were burning. Because you believe that a wealthy family's child has no right to choose happiness, only to be subjected to an arranged marriage. I froze. He was right. He was so smart, he must have guessed the reason I left the moment he learned my identity at the family dinner. But doesn't our reunion prove that we're meant to be together? Please, will you look at me again? His eyes were bloodshot, pleading with fragile hope. But we are siblings now. I whispered, leaving the room in heavy silence. My phone rang. It was my mother. Julian is nice, but he's not in the same league as you. If you want to take things further, you need to consider carefully. My throat tightened listening to her words. I know, Mom. I won't worry you. I had grown used to being the obedient and elegant socialite. This mask had slowly fused with my true self. Finnegan listened quietly, his eyes filled with pity for me. Brother, come home for dinner with us next week, I said tearfully. Seeing my tear-filled eyes, he finally relented. I walked him to the door. He turned back. Can I hold you once more? The last time. He hugged me so tightly he almost crushed me. Pressed against his chest, I felt the trembling of his body and his heart pounding like a drum. He appeared calm but was on the verge of collapse. The sense of perversion was icy, and the dam of my rationality was shaky. His Adam's apple bobbed. His gaze skimmed my neck and then retracted as if burned. He gasped hoarsely, I didn't do well that day, but I really have learned a lot of new things. Do you want to try again, one last time, please? Starting tomorrow, I will only be your brother. He lowered his eyes, his glasses casting a shadow beneath them, his eyelashes fluttering. He spoke the most forbidden words in a voice as calm as discussing the weather. Like a dignified madman. And I, as always, loved madmen. Just this last time. The words barely left my mouth before Finnegan's kiss descended. His large hands cupped the back of my neck, forcing my head up, our lips and tongues intertwining. Between gasps, he asked hoarsely, Is this okay? I nodded blankly. His hand reached under my clothes, unhooking my bra. I distantly remembered that night, when he was nervous and only knew how to kiss, leaving my desire surging without release, forcing me to take the lead and push him down. As my consciousness faded, he looked at me, whispering with devout stubbornness, You are so beautiful. I love you. A sudden bite on my lips snapped me back to reality. What are you thinking about? Finnegan gripped my chin, his voice muffled and husky. Nothing. The doorbell rang abruptly. Julian's face was on the screen. I violently pushed Finnegan away and told him to hide. His face was filled with hurt. Why? You live alone, there are no men's things here, and the boyfriend is clearly fake. Why should I hide? I stared at the open neckline of his shirt and blurted out a lie. Your body is only for me to see. Finnegan paused for a second, then smiled, his eyes lighting up instantly. He obediently retreated into the bathroom. Julian stood outside the door, his eyes scanning my wrinkled collar and swollen lips. He handed me the jacket I had left in his car and led me down the hallway. Your brother came to see me today, Julian dropped the bombshell. He said you two were more than siblings, you were lovers. He knew I was the fake date you hired, and he told me to stay away from you. The motion sensor light turned off. He also said that today wasn't the first time he'd seen me. I saw him a year ago downstairs. He was loitering, taking pictures of your parking spot. I considered calling the police, but I thought it might be a mistake. A chill ran down my spine. That line, I would have found you, he had already found me? I threw open the bathroom door. Finnegan was sitting on the edge of the tub, looking up at me, his voice plaintive. What took you so long? I got straight to the point. Finnegan, did you find me a long time ago? The hand he was using to tug my sleeve froze. What are you thinking? If I had found you, why would I have held back from seeing you? What about this? I showed him the photo Julian had backed up, Finnegan leaning against Julian's car, his eyes intently fixed on the direction of my bedroom. He finally looked panicked. I'm so sorry. I was just afraid that if I showed up, you'd disappear again. I fought down the anger and fear, so you deliberately manipulated my mother and your father into meeting, just to make sure I had nowhere to run? Are you a sociopath? No. His eyes went instantly red. I just wanted to see you. I swear I didn't do anything else. I love you so much, how could I possibly resign myself to being your brother for the rest of my life? Then why did you tell Julian we were lovers? Get out! Don't you ever show up again. I couldn't distinguish truth from lie. I'm sorry. I can explain everything. He frantically reached for my hand, but I shook him off. He stumbled backward, falling into the bathtub, soaking himself completely. His shoulders slumped. Wet hair fell over his forehead, failing to hide the redness around his eyes behind the glasses. He choked out, Please don't send me away. I'll do whatever you say. Please. I'll only be your brother from now on. My mind was in chaos. I finally turned around to find a towel for him. I didn't see the look in his eyes as he watched my retreating back, an almost ruthless possessiveness. After that, Finnegan diligently played the role of the good brother. He found me a fantastic apartment, right next door to his own. When I questioned him, he shrugged innocently, telling me to ask the realtor. After checking the surrounding area, there truly were no better options. A month passed without incident. My mother urged me to come home for dinner. As I walked in, Finnegan was there, wearing a casual white t-shirt and bangs over his forehead, looking totally boyish and greeting me with a charming smile. My stepfather asked Finnegan why he wasn't going to meet the blind date arranged for him. Finnegan replied coolly, I don't want to. My stepfather sought my affirmation, Tell me, isn't your brother being too passive? The food tasted like sawdust in my mouth. I nodded in agreement, yes, you should meet her. Finnegan looked up at me, his eyes dead. After a long silence, he said hoarsely, Fine. I knew he would. I was certain he would agree. I pushed him away because I was afraid of wavering. Back at my apartment, I felt awful. Later that night, I heard the doorbell ring. Finnegan was drunk and was being escorted upstairs by the building manager. He insisted on entering my apartment. The manager seemed very familiar with him, telling me that Mr. Finnegan had bought this unit next door for his girlfriend, implying that he was now meeting the girlfriend herself, and he wished me well. On the sofa, his collar was slightly open, his collarbones prominent, his lips flushed, he was truly sleeping soundly. It was all his plan to get me to move here. The thought of moving again intensified my resentment. I gave him a kick, but he didn't react. Yet, I decided to keep my distance, perhaps this would be the last time I saw him outside of family dinners. Feeling utterly seduced, I leaned down to kiss him. He opened his eyes. I instantly regretted it. Finnegan, however, clamped his hand behind my neck and deepened the kiss. After a long moment, he said huskily, You started it this time. That doesn't count as me breaking the agreement. I instantly realized he wasn't drunk. Smack! Enraged, I slapped him hard across the face. His cheek instantly flushed red and turned to the side. His lips were tightly pressed together, and he lowered his eyes in silence. But he acted as if it didn't hurt, rubbing his bruised cheek against my palm. His voice was husky and humble. "I'm sorry, it's my fault. Did I hurt your hand? Am I worthless? Why else would I be left behind and then frantically search for you? Rejected and still cling? Buy an apartment but not dare to admit it? Go on a blind date just to please you? I don't even know what I'm doing anymore." Tears streamed down his cheek, disappearing into his collar. "I just missed you. I missed you so much I was going insane. How am I supposed to treat you like a sister?" His voice was scorching, carrying the reckless abandon of madness. "Can you really treat me like your brother? Then why did you kiss me?" That last thread of sanity snapped. Fury and shame consumed me. I bit down hard on his neck. My teeth sank into his skin. He gave a muffled groan and tensed up, but his eyes showed no anger, only a sense of liberated pleasure. I kissed him again. His searing heat immediately rushed back. He was a completely different person compared to our first time. He knelt on the rug in front of the sofa, his arms tightly embracing me, fiercely possessive, whispering hoarsely, "I'm sorry, but I couldn't stop myself." The struggle between love and desire, frozen by guilt, finally collapsed the dam of rationality. That night, it rained the entire time. We stayed up all night. Until dawn, when the doorbell rang like a death knell, my mother and his father had arrived. The door opened, revealing our parents standing outside. Finnegan's wrinkled shirt and suit pants were clearly visible on the carpet. I was wearing an obviously oversized t-shirt that belonged to him, and the red marks on my neck were stark. Finnegan didn't even give me a chance to concoct a lie. "We're together." Silence descended. A storm raged in my stepfather's eyes. He grabbed the expensive porcelain vase near the entrance and hurled it at Finnegan's head. Crash! The shattering sound was deafening. Blood instantly seeped from Finnegan's swelling forehead. My stepfather roared, demanding, "Are you trying to take revenge on me? Revenge for arranging this marriage without your consent?" Finnegan was unfazed, his voice icy and desolate. "I couldn't care less if you treat your marriage like a transaction. But Victoria and I met a long time ago. She left me because of your damn rules about arranged marriages." My stepfather was nailed in place by this brutal dissection. I grabbed my mother, trying to pull her away, but she violently shook me off, rushing toward my stepfather and fiercely grabbing his ear. "Ow! Let go, honey! You jerk! You said you really loved me when you proposed, and now you call it an arranged marriage? How dare you!" My mother started hitting and kicking him. "I was wrong. I apologize." "Apologize? Do you even genuinely love me?" Finnegan and I quietly retreated into the bedroom. After the smoke cleared in the living room, the four of us sat down to communicate. My stepfather, bruised and swollen, was still unyielding. "As long as I'm alive, you two are forbidden to be together. Brother and sister, it's outrageous." My heart sank. Finnegan let out a soft sneer, calmly pulling out a manila envelope, and placed a document on the coffee table. "It's very simple. Sign this, and I terminate my legal father-son relationship with you." He ignored their astonishment. "Once signed, the process begins. You will no longer be my father, only the legal stepfather of my girlfriend, Miss Victoria Thornfield." I stared in shock at the date on the document. It was the day of our first family dinner. He had been prepared all along. The document included the process for severing the relationship, proof of identity, a voluntary waiver of beneficiary rights and share in the Richards Family Trust Fund, and a draft will transferring the entire family estate to my sole inheritance. He wasn't fighting for the assets, he was stripping away his right to inherit, removing all leverage and control over him. He had burned every bridge. My stepfather slammed the table in fury. "Absurd. This is lawless." My mother, who had been silent, stared at Finnegan for a long time, then suddenly smiled. "I don't see any problem. You are willing to abandon everything for my daughter, and my daughter will gain everything." I was worried my daughter might be fooled into giving up her own family assets, but my worry was unnecessary. Ultimately, under my mother's dominant negotiation and accompanied by the family lawyer, my stepfather was forced to sign the documents. We all knew the severing of the relationship was superficial, but the waiver of inheritance and the document making me the sole heir were very real. Finnegan collected the papers and gave me a genuine smile. With his broken glasses removed, his eyes shone brightly as he looked at me, like a puppy who had retrieved the frisbee and was waiting for praise. He leaned close and whispered in my ear, "I have nothing left now. Please don't reject me again. Seeing the total love he had risked everything to offer, my emotional defenses came crashing down. I said, okay.